information. Um, so welcome everyone. My name is Doria Estrada. I am the Sustainability Manager for the City of Takoma Park. Thank you for joining us today. It is a pleasure to have you be joining our Green Business Information session. Let me pull up the slides here. So just to give you a little bit of context, it's been a while since we have engaged with our business community on these topics. We're really happy to have you join today. This has been something that our office has been wanting to plug in with our commercial partners in the area for quite some time. I think it has been a little challenging due to some other priorities in the pandemic, but now that we're on the other side of that, I'm really, really happy to have 4 guest speakers join us today for this session. They're going to be giving you some excellent information on the available programs, incentives, tax credits, and other ways that your business can become more sustainable, whether you're thinking about doing some energy audit or seeking energy savings, looking at solar or EV, or even trying to get formally registered in a sustainable business program. So just some housekeeping as we're getting started. If you could please mute yourselves, that would be great. We would welcome you to come off mic when we do a Q&A at the end of the session. We do have 4 speakers. I'll introduce them as we go, but I would ask that we just hold our questions until the end. Do write your question in the chat though, and we will make sure that we get back to it when we come to the Q&A. Other than that, I think we could get started. So without further ado, the first speaker that I would like to introduce is Kiara Bernard. So Kiara works at Maryland Energy Advisors and represents the client Pepco as their small business program representative for Montgomery County. Kiara works extensively with vetted and authorized Pepco service providers to deliver energy efficiency upgrades to businesses looking to save money on their utility bills. She's passionate about bringing awareness to potential customers about the Maryland Empower program's benefits and hopes to bridge the gap between customer and installer. So Kiara, I will hand you the floor.
Can you all hear me? Okay, excellent. So I want to thank first and foremost Dorothy Estrada for allowing me to be a speaker on this. I'm really pleased to be able to speak in front of all of you small to mid business sized owners. I basically, again, am a account executive that works for the company Maryland Energy Advisors. And there we basically work very closely with utility companies to come up with solutions. So I'm going to go ahead and dive into the Empower Maryland program. This is a legislative program which was started in 2008, and it was passed by the Maryland General Assembly, and it is a portfolio of energy efficiency programs that was established to support the Empower Maryland initiative of reducing consumption in the state by 15% per capita by 2015.
I'm
And you
so
can
sorry,
see on,
Kiara, do you want me to be sharing your slides?
yeah, that would be good. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, no
I'm not
problem. I'll
sure if
pull it
I
up.
can share it to, I wasn't sure if I could share it to the Zoom, so my apologies.
No problem. Can everyone see that?
Okay, perfect. So in 2015, we can see that the reduction goal was achieved and the Public Service Commission decided to continue the program. So that was very exciting. And fast forward 2 years later, the Maryland legislature extended the Empower Law through 2023. Okay, and we could kind of look at the timeline between 2018 and 2023. That's 5 years. And there was a new goal structure that was basically implemented with a gross in our gross sales of 2% is what we wanted to do. All right, but halfway through that, when the goal structure was changed, the pandemic happened. So that sort of changed the nature of how our goals were being achieved. So now fast forward to 2024 through 2026, we are in program cycle 6. And there are additional enhancements that have actually been made under the working group review. So, the small business program, all right, this is one of the many sectors of the Maryland Empower program. But what exactly is it? Well, it's designed for the unique small business needs. Okay, we know that many small business owners do not have a lot of time on a day to day basis. All right, but what makes this program so unique is that they can actually save up to 80% on new energy efficient equipment. It's very easy to participate. All right. We have basically an authorized service provider that will help the small business owner focus on their day to day needs, which means they're going to be filling out a lot of the paperwork, okay, that small business owners do not want to have to deal with on a day to day basis. And essentially, they're going to be making a recommendation based on what they see when they go to that establishment. All right. And so they'll come up with a turnkey proposal based on the equipment that they're seeing that's used, and then also what the needs of that particular business owner are. Now, our quick energy checkup is actually going to be coming in 2025, so stay tuned for that. And it's a complimentary service for small business owners. All right. It is a high level audit that is performed by an authorized service provider. And essentially, the service provider will come into the business and they'll say, okay, this is how you're sort of using your energy on a day to day basis. Okay. And they will essentially look at qualifying pieces of equipment that are covered by the program, and they'll come up with a turnkey proposal for those pieces of equipment that we can incentivize. All right. Another really cool feature of this QEC is that the service provider can actually install energy efficient devices at no additional cost. So, again, this is not something that's currently in place, but it is coming in 2025, and we're really excited to launch it. Okay, so what kinds of equipment we pay for? Sorry, Dorothy. We have four major categories. Okay, so we have lighting. All right, so that would include your older lighting. Okay, not LED to LED, but that would include fluorescent, incandescent lighting, and that includes, fixtures, sensors, and controls. So, for example, if you have a high occupancy area, like a kitchen, where a lot of people are constantly going in there, we can actually install a sensor, which would actually allow the lights to cut off when that particular room isn't in use. We also do heating and cooling. So that's heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. All right. As well as commercial kitchen equipment. We actually just started to do fryers, which is really cool, as well as ice makers. But we also do some of the more traditional replacements, such as refrigeration and other equipment. Then we have a category called miscellaneous. Okay. So these are not things that you would necessarily think of immediately, but they include things like variable frequency drives, which, if you're wondering what the heck is that, hopefully I'm explaining it well. Hopefully, no engineers are on the call, but basically, it's a system that controls the speed of something. So if you have like an industrial fan, okay, and it's constantly blowing at, I don't know, 100 miles per hour or something like this variable frequency drive will allow that system to slow down. You can actually set the speed of that system. We also do specialty controls, water heaters, dehumidifiers, and even clothes washers. So this is great for somebody that owns, for example, a laundromat. Okay, so this is probably the most exciting feature of our program and incredibly appealing for those that may be short on time and tight on cash. And that is what we call our Small Business Energy Advance. This is interest-free financing, okay? So this is an interest-free repayment option that actually is going to be added onto your monthly electricity bill for your convenience. So you can actually select how you want your increments to be done. It can be done over a 6, a 12, or a 24-month installment period. Okay, so the only caveat to this is that you have to have at least 2,500 for your project costs, and that would include both materials and labor. I also want to add that you must be in good account standing to actually be qualified for the SBEA. So that means before the time of the project, during the time of the project, and after the project is done. Okay, so that concludes my presentation. I do want to open up the floor for anyone here that may have any questions about the small business program. Keep in mind that this, is in Montgomery County, but we also covered the Eastern Shore, as well as the Prince George's County area in Maryland. Does anybody have any questions whatsoever?
That was very rapid, so I think we actually could take a couple questions. And folks, feel free to write them in the chat. You could also mull it over. Um, Maybe just one question, Kira, for you. Like
I
in a
do.
nutshell, why
Pia.
should, oh, sorry, go ahead.
It's okay. Pia actually
Yeah.
put something
Yeah.
in there.
Oh, right.
What
What's
is
considered small
considered
business?
small business? So great question, Pia. It's something that I did want to cover, but I didn't want to take up too much time for the rest of the guest. So a small business for us is, first off, it has to be an actual structure, right? A storefront property. So it can't actually be like an online business. You have to have a storefront. Another thing is you have to be using, according to your electricity bill, on average, 100 kilowatts or less over, a several month period of time. So you could, on your bill, maybe have some months where you're using a little bit more than 100 and maybe some months where you're using a little less, but on average, it should be about 100 kilowatts. Anything above that is actually considered medium to large. And at that point, we would, defer or refer you to a medium to large representative. Also, the person does have to be a Pepco account holder, right? So if they're Potomac Edison, we wouldn't be able to help them, So those are the major requirements for small business. Anybody else? Any other questions? So I'm going to mute myself. If anybody else has any questions, they can feel free to put them in the chat and tag my name in there. Thank you so much, Dorothy, and thank you to everyone else who listened.
Thank you, Kira. Yeah, I think you covered a lot of ground. So we'll see if folks have more questions and kind of the energy topic as we go along. Um, Wonderful. Well, I'm really pleased to present our next speaker, which is Pia Eolster. So Pia works at Bethesda Green, and she manages the Green Business Certification Program, which is a partnership with Montgomery County and the Green Business Benchmark that recognizes businesses for incorporating green practices in their daily operations. Previously, Pia worked extensively in the nonprofit sector before shifting to do more work on local issues. And she's lived in Montgomery County for 25 years and is bilingual in English and Spanish. So Pia, I will hand you the floor.
Thank you, Dory, for the introduction. First of all, I apologize to everybody because of my voice. I lost it over the weekend, but it is a bit better, so I'm hoping I'll be able to make it throughout the presentation. I'll go ahead and share, and if you can let me know if you can see my screen. Is it good?
Yes.
Yes? Okay. So as Dory said, I'm the Green Business Certification Program Manager for Bethesda Green, and we are currently managing the Montgomery County Green Business Certification Program. So what is this program? It is actually a voluntary program for businesses who want to get recognition and certify as green. So any business that is thinking of or already working towards implementing sustainable practices in Montgomery County, like greening their operations and reducing their environmental footprint, can start working towards a certification. And businesses do this by working on green initiatives, which I'll go ahead and explain on a bit further down the presentation. So why Bethesda Green? So we are a local nonprofit, and we catalyze environmental action throughout the DC metropolitan area, both by working with local communities and also with local businesses. And we established a partnership with Montgomery County to manage their Green Business Certification Program. So we're here to provide guidance and support to all the businesses that want to get certified, and I'm here to help everybody navigate the different certification steps throughout the process. So as I mentioned, it's a partnership between the Department of Environmental Protection and Bethesda Green. And we also established a partnership with the Green Business Benchmark, which is a national online platform that the businesses use in order to get certified. Once you certify, you actually get dual recognition, both from the county and the Green Business Benchmark. So there are different certification tiers, which I will go ahead and explain later on. So businesses, in order to certify, work on implementing initiatives. And just to clarify, there are 600 initiatives on the Green Business Benchmark platform, which can be kind of intimidating, but businesses can really select and tailor their certification towards what they've already done or what they are planning to do. So they can select the initiatives that they want to work on or that they've already worked on to implement, and they get points based on this. And based on the amount of points, they will qualify for a different certification level, which, as you can see below, you don't need a lot of points to start to become certified at the bronze level. And then you can go up to silver, gold, or platinum. So why get certified? First of all, we're hoping more and more people are just working towards towards solving the local and also global environmental problems. And by doing this through our certification process, you gain dual recognition, both from the county and the Green Business Benchmark. Depending on what initiatives you implement, just like the ones Kiora mentioned, if you're doing energy efficiency, you will probably down the line save a lot of money on energy. Or you can also implement water saving initiatives, which can also provide overall savings to your business. So once you certify, we will provide you with logos and decals that recognize your efforts in sustainability and your certification, which you can then use to market your achievements in places such as social media or your website or on your storefront. And also, it will give you exposure and connection. We're in the process with the county of developing a green business directory. And also, as you will be certifying in the Green Business Benchmark online platform, you will also gain access to their own directory, which is national in scope. And we're also in the process of developing other promotional events to get so that businesses get recognized at the county level for their efforts. And for example, right now we're working on a ride on bus campaign. So all the businesses that certify by mid-December will be able to have their logo next year in about 3 months. For a full month, all the buses that go around the county, which is 200 buses, will have a sign about the Green Business Certification Program, and all those businesses that have certified at silver or above will get their logo on the buses. This will last for about a month. The different certification steps. First of all, the businesses complete a preliminary application on our website, and then they go into, we will share the link for the Green Business Benchmark portal, where they will be able to start working on their green initiatives and accumulating points towards certification. Once you certify in the Green Business Benchmark portal, you let us know that you've done so and at what level. We can actually go online and check each business and how good they're doing, how far they are, and so forth. And once that is completed, we perform an in-person verification for all those businesses at silver or above. And once that is completed, you will receive your certification and your decals, and you'll be able to start promoting your green initiatives and celebrate your achievements. There is a price for certifying. As you can see on the chart, the lower right, it's $12.50 per business per year on the Green Business Benchmark platform. But this is really for the large businesses. And as you can see, we have significant discounts that we offer to smaller businesses. So you can get up to 70% discount on your certification. And also we have scholarships for smaller businesses, and that includes minority-owned businesses, women-owned businesses, or those businesses that work in underserved communities. All these are advantages that you get by certifying via the Montgomery County certification process. This is just a group of businesses that have recently certified. I just wanted to share it with all of you because I think it's a really nice mix from a law firm to a restoration firm to a religious institution. So basically, I just want to highlight that everybody who wants to work towards greening their operations or is already working towards that can certify throughout our process. And that's all for me. Here is my email, pia@bethesdagreen.org. Please reach out to me. I'm the contact person to work on this, and I will be the one guiding you through the process. Hablo español, so you can also reach out to me in Spanish if needed. And I'm not sure if people can scan the QR code from their computers, but I'm happy to share it via email if you want to get started, or if you have any questions, just please reach out to me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pia. That's a wonderful program, and my first full introduction to it actually from today. The Ride on Bus campaign component is also really compelling as a means of free advertising. Well, somehow free advertising. There's a lot of effort from the business side, but well worth
Right.
it. So that's
That's
great.
a great incentive right now. So that's
Yeah.
going until mid-December. So
Wonderful.
yeah.
Thank you. Folks, if you have questions for Pia, please do add them into the chat, and we'll make sure that they get addressed. But I will transition us to our next speaker. So Dave from Blue Whale EV is going to be up. Dave Castile leads Blue Whale EV's public sector business, focusing on local, state, federal, and education markets. With over 35 years of experience, Dave is recognized as a leader in the e-mobility industry. His extensive background as a strategic consultant enables him to understand the unique needs of public sector clients, ensuring that EVSE, which is electric vehicle supply equipment, solutions provided are tailored, effective, and enduring. So Dave, I will hand you the floor.
Thank you, Dorian. Can I get you to present my slides?
Absolutely.
So Blue Whale EV is, I represent the public sector side. If you could go to the next slide and go ahead and skip that. Yeah, we do commercial installations as well. We work, we don't do residential, but basically Blue Whale EV is really focused on helping organizations design and right size their EV infrastructure. This can be, if you want to use it from a public facing point of view, if you want to use it from a revenue generation or as an amenity, depending upon the situation, we will help the organizations, help them decide what is the best fit for them. We are technology agnostic, so we represent multiple manufacturers, including organizations like ChargePoint, Tesla, Blink, EverCharge is within our portfolio. Our solution is to make sure we find the right solution and not over-engineer things. We also want to make sure we plan for the future. So a lot of it's a conversation and dialogue. We have our own electrical staff, electrician staff, including master electricians. We are very well known in the industry as becoming a leader in this area. Go ahead and go to the next slide. So we focus on the infrastructure itself. We don't sell the vehicles, but as you have seen, you probably see more and more out there. The EV market growth is accelerating. There are significant cost savings from purchasing gas versus purchasing electricity. A lot of it depends on where you're buying it. The performance is unparalleled to what you can get. 0 to 60 in 5 seconds or less is pretty impressive. It's clearly sustainability, less pollution, less dependence on fossil fuels, and battery technology is going to continue to advance. I think in 2027, Toyota is going to have a solid state battery that's not a lithium ion that could have up to 600 miles range. All this is going to kind of evolve. But in order to get them out there, you do need to have them charged, right? You need to be able to charge them. So that's what Blue Whale EV focuses on. Next slide, please, Dory. Yeah, the EV market growth is accelerating. Maryland is one of is leading behind California and Florida, I believe, in terms of the adoption rate. And in Montgomery County specifically, Montgomery County has 50% of all the EV vehicles registered in the state of Maryland. It's going to continue to grow. I think what a lot of folks are trying to see is, okay, where can I charge? There's a little bit of range anxiety concerns, and trust me, I use some EV vehicles as well, and you have to make sure that the infrastructure is available so where you can go. Next slide, please. So a little bit of those who are familiar with EVs, there are 3 levels of charging, and it depends on how much power you can provide the battery and how much time it will take to complete the battery to fill it up. Level 1 is plug into a household outlet or a business outlet. You standard 120 volt. It can take 12 hours or longer. In some cases, it can take a day or 2 to charge on a standard outlet. If you're going to a level 2, these typically run off of 240 volt. They're a little bit bigger than a household dryer outlet. They can typically run about 40 amps, and you can get 40 to 50 miles of charge per hour. So, and the prices you see down at the bottom, those are commercial install prices. The DCFC is the ones you see at the Wawas, the Sheets, the Royal Farms. They typically can be high-powered ones, and they can charge basically about 80% of your battery in less than 30 minutes. So, and those are really the high-end charging solutions. And we deal with all the level 2s and level 3s. Next slide, Dory, please. The one thing that's different about EV charging versus a typical combustion engine is that the paradigm of charging changes substantially. Right now, about 50% of charging happens at home. I know in some areas like Takoma Park, it may be a little bit harder, but there are places where you can't do that today with a gasoline or a diesel engine. The remainder of it has to happen at work, stores, and along the roadways. So yeah, and the mindset also changes that when I'm in a gas station, I typically fill up. With an EV, it's not uncommon to go out there. I'll plug it for 15, 20 minutes at a level 3 station, and I can get 40% added to get me to my destination. So there's a little bit of mindset shifting and paradigm. A lot of us just kind of learning how to adapt to the environment. Because I may not want to pay the higher rate at a DCFC station, and I can get a much better rate at my home. So okay, I'll give me enough to get home, and I'll finish charging at home. So a lot of it's kind of a learning experience, and people do kind of like to figure out what's the best way to optimize not only my charging, my mileage, but also my cost. Next slide, please. So if I'm looking at a typical level 2, and the pricing can be anywhere between $15,000 to $20,000, $25,000 to put a level 2 port charging station in place. This includes design, permitting. There may be some requirements for American Disabilities Act. Sometimes we need to bring in additional power. In this picture that you see right there, we were able to tap into the transformer right adjacent to it. You know, this is, it's going to vary based upon site by site. Some places we be able to tap off of existing building power. Others we can put an adjacent panel on a building. A lot of it's going to depend upon what's available. A lot of times when we're looking at commercial installations, we'll go in and say, we may need to do a load study to ensure that there's enough power available, that we don't overload the panel. Next slide, please. One of the things, it is a pretty steep price for these investments. And if you look at, we can work with our customers on, we have one of the customers on an ROI model, which will allow you to figure out how long it's going to take for your investment to recoup itself. But there's a significant amount of savings or incentives that are out there. The federal government has a 30C tax credit for businesses to allow them to get, if you're in a certain zip code, census tract area, you can get up to 30% of your project costs refunded as a tax credit, not a tax deduction, but tax credit, up to $100,000 per site. The utilities also have incentives. Pepco has an incentive, which I believe is the Takoma Park area. They're coming up with a new set of incentives come in January. The state's constantly doing a number of other incentives, and there's also some things that Montgomery County may or may not have that's available to the area. So the biggest thing is that, when we meet with a customer, we'll understand what the needs are, understand what the concept of what they want to do. We also are trying to find ways to offset the investment cost. Next slide, Dory, please. One of the things, there's a lot of things to think about, is in terms of putting an EV in place. What are your goals? Am I trying to draw people in as an amenity? Am I trying to bring in as a revenue? Do I want to charge for parking? There's a lot of ways you can structure that. What are your current needs right now? And what's the plan? Because right now, if we need to bring in additional power for some of the sites, we typically want to do that one time the utility, because that can take some time to get that done. And we want to build the base infrastructure that allows us to do easily expand later on. You may need to expand 12, 18 months, 24 months out there, or you may not want to expand. That becomes particularly important for fleets. We work with government fleets as well as commercial fleets. You may not be replacing all your vehicles within the next 5 years. It may be a 7-year cycle, but you don't want to put all the infrastructure in place right now. That's talk about the make ready. We want to future-proof this as much as possible. Looking at the options, level 2, level 3 devices, there are varying degrees of how much power a device can provide. If I look at a fleet solution, I can provide overnight charging with not as powerful, I can get that done at a 6-hour charge, or I can do overnight with a level 2, or I could do a 2 or 3 hour charge. So a lot of it depends upon your specific use case and what you're trying to accomplish. DCFC, they run from anywhere from a 30 kilowatt distribution of charging up to 150 kilowatt charges for some of the interstate sites. You want to make sure also that you have an organization that is qualified for the installation and commissioning and design. We're authorized resellers and installers of numerous manufacturers. But I've also been to sites where they haven't engineered it properly, and there's a significant amount of fixed work that has to happen. My father-in-law said, build it, measure twice, cut once, right? You want to make sure you do it right the first time. And then look around the community. What are you trying to do from a messaging point of view? In terms of getting a community engaged and so forth. Then understanding your uptime goals. There's a national standard for federally funded projects of 97% uptime. There's a lot of factors that plays into that. That includes the network that it runs on. That includes the manufacturers. What are they going to do from their standard warranty versus extended warranty? And what are preventive maintenance that you need to be considering? Because if you don't maintain it, you do run the risk of it not operating, and then you impact your uptime goals. And if you're looking at it from a revenue generator or an amenity, you're going to have customers that you're not able to get for your organization or for your property. And I think that's it, Dory. Yep.
Thank you so much, Dave. I really appreciate that. I know this is a pretty dense topic, but thank you also for setting the context of why charging outside the home is important. Maybe just for our community members on the call here. While the city does have some public charging sites and is pursuing more, we're very much depending on our private property owners, including local businesses, to really lean into this topic and take the plunge in installing more chargers. It's as Dave said, it can be a real economic tool for your business and for your workforce. So it is not so easy, but also the payoff can be quite good. So yes, thank you for that. I really appreciate that.
And Dory, one more thing I would add is also multifamily properties. We're working a lot of multifamily properties in the Montgomery County area to put the chargers in place. So again, look at it as amenity, look at it as a, opportunity for, additional revenue.
Absolutely. We've been doing some listening on that topic too, that shows the increased value of the property and just what that means for the owner and tenant. So yeah, wonderful. Thank you so much. Again, if there are questions for Dave on the EV topic, please add them into the chat and we'll revisit them in the Q&A. But yes, thank you so much. Now I'll be happy to transition us to our final speaker, Sukrit Mishra from Solar United Neighbors. So Sukrit plays a pivotal role in advancing solar initiatives across the Mid-Atlantic region with Solar United Neighbors, or SUN. He has led the development of solar co-ops, guiding communities through collective solar purchasing to increase accessibility and affordability, as well as overseeing the Solar Switch campaign, which remains dedicated to educating folks on everything solar, providing pro bono assistance, and continually exploring new opportunities to expand SUN's solar footprint. The city is a partner with the Capital Solar Switch campaign, and Sukrit, I'll hand you the floor.
Perfect. Thank you, Dory. And good afternoon, everyone. Give me 1 second. Let me just share my screen. And let's see. All right. Can everyone see this okay?
Yes, I don't think it's in presentation mode, but we can see it.
Gotcha. No worries. How about now?
Yes, looks good.
Perfect. And thank you for the introduction, Dory. Just to recap real quick, my name is Sukrit Mishra. I am the Solar Switch Program Director. I manage our solar portfolio across DC, Northern Virginia, and Maryland. Most days I'm based in DC. I'm just doing some travel this week down in Southern Virginia where we're trying to expand our program and find new partners. And yeah, my goal is to just give you a preview, keep it real brief, just give you a preview on what we do across the country, the definition of co-ops and how Solar Switch works, and the eligibility for small businesses. And with that, I'll get started. To get it started, we are a 501c3 national nonprofit. What that basically means is we have a triple faceted goal, which is to help people go solar. It can be in our co-ops or our bulk purchase campaigns. It could be independently out of it. We just try to give you pro bono consulting and give you some advice. The second part of the goal is to preserve the rights of existing solar owners. Once in a while, our members and non-members, people who have gone solar, they get pushback from the utilities or local HOAs. We try to protect their rights and help them legislatively. And the third part of this is helping people come together. Well, with the pandemic gone now, we are trying to host more in-person events, do more informational sessions like this one, whether it's virtual or in person, and sometimes more happy hours. We are doing a couple more this week. So yeah, that's the third part of our goal. And yeah, that is our theory of change, which is helping people go solar, joining together, and fighting for their energy rights. In terms of how we got started, this started back in 2007. The person you see here, that's Anya. She founded our company back then, and it was started as a small co-op in DC. That was our very first co-op where we bulked people up in one small neighborhood in Mount Pleasant. It was just 50 local homeowners. And then we expanded the co-op model up to Maryland, down to Virginia. And in the present, we are operating in 12 states, as well as DC and Puerto Rico. And we have members across all 50 states. This includes solar homeowners, small businesses, nonprofits, and anyone outside that domain as well. And in that time, we have helped almost, that number might be a slightly bit out of date, but we're hitting almost 10,000 homes that have gone solar in the past decade. And with that, I'll go into Solar Switch and the model itself. So I've been talking about co-ops. We have actually transitioned, or we are trying to evolve our co-op model into something we call Solar Switch. In a nutshell, it's a bulk purchase program or a group buying program, which includes solar PV cells as well as battery backups and EV chargers. And this is open to homeowners as well as small businesses and nonprofits across DC, Maryland, and Virginia. The two big benefits are by bulking people up or by bulking up small businesses in these programs, we are saving the installers a lot of operating costs or a lot of costs around marketing and the soft costs. And this incentivizes them to give competitive rates, which are often 15 to 20% lower than the market rate in in these programs. And we are doing this program in partnership with another company. They're called iChooser. They're based in Amsterdam. They do the marketing around this. We do the education around these campaigns. And we also offer customer support, as well as we also do the installer vetting in this program. And like Dory said earlier, we cannot do this without the support of local counties and local partners across the DMV region. And again, the two big benefits, or some of the other benefits over here are there's no cost to join this program. If you're just doing some research, if you think you might be a good fit, or if you're unsure, if you're not sure if your roof's a good fit, you just have to fill out the application. It is free of cost. There's no obligation to go solar in the campaign once you do sign up. If you feel like it's not a good fit, or you feel like there are other options, or you want to just wait till next year, you can leave the program, no questions asked. Another big benefit, as a nonprofit, our big mission is we give you all the tools during the course of the campaign to help you make an informed decision. And this includes a lot of FAQs, a lot of webinars, a lot of materials on our website that have to do with the co-op model, basic solar terminologies, basic materials around battery backups, financial savings, SRECs, some of the other topics when it comes to solar. And as I said earlier, besides helping people go solar in this program, you can reach out to us even after the installation is completed. Solar systems usually have a warranty of 25 to 30 years. If you run into any issues in the future, as a Sun member, we will assist you with that and connect you to the installer and ensure that the warranties are honored and there are no hassles even beyond the installation. On average, one of the benefits of the group buying is, since we launched this campaign last summer, we have seen an average saving of 15 to 25% for both single-family homes as well as small businesses and nonprofits that have been a part of this program. This also includes faith-based institutions. We work with DMV IPL across the DMV region, and they have reported similar savings. And another big benefit is we do a lot of rigorous background checks, and we ensure that the installers have been properly vetted. We check their financials, we look at their working history, we look through their references. And I can go as far as to say that in the 4 campaigns that we have run in the last 2 years, we have been working with these installers for the past decade, and we have done more than 1,000 installations. To date, there have been no issues. So that's another benefit of this. And the last thing I'll add is our help desk and our customer support is made up of folks who are NABCEP certified or have the technical expertise to help people with any issues or problems or any questions during the solar process. So in terms of numbers, like I said, we have done 4 campaigns so far. Around 10%, 5 to 10% of these signups are small businesses. But all in all, since summer last year, we had more than 9,000 people sign up, and we have covered around or installed more than 500 systems. We are on course to cover another 500 systems through March next year. The average permitting is around 60 to 75 days. There are a few exceptions where some of the interconnection cases do get some pushback, but again, we have the legislative muscle to represent them in front of the PSC and document those cases. But yeah, I mean, this has been our solar footprint over the past 2 years, and we are continuing to expand this and bring more small businesses on board, not just towards the end of this year, but also in 2025 and beyond. Why go solar in Takoma Park? As for MEA, in 2025, they had almost $10 million in grant money, and they had 2 areas of operation for this. $6 billion of this grant was dedicated towards businesses or smaller businesses, and the remaining $4 million was for LMI businesses or income qualified businesses in the sustainability sphere. I can go more into the details of this, but what I would recommend is if you want to find out your eligibility, reach out to our help desk. We will connect you to MEA, or we have our own FAQs and resources to determine your eligibility. Solar Switch also, on average saves anywhere from $7,000 to $10,000 for each solar installation for small businesses. So this could be a great campaign for you if you want to join this. And in terms of ROI and return on investment, the average payback in Maryland is around 7 to 8 years for solar or solar customers. Solar systems have operating lifetime of 25 to 30 years, so you're making money out of that system after that initial payback of 8 years. Again, that's an average. Sometimes it's smaller, depending on the system size. It just varies. And the last thing I'll add is it's an option, but we do offer battery backups in this campaign, as well as EV chargers. So that's another thing to consider, because that's also offered at a discounted rate in this campaign. We are wrapping up our fall campaign tomorrow. We extended the deadline as a courtesy, but I do realize that it would be too big of an ask for folks to sign up to the campaign by tomorrow. So I'm focusing more on the spring campaign, which will be launched next March. We will be doing the reverse auction at the end of February. We're planning to select 3 installers for the campaign across DC, Maryland, and Virginia. The campaign will go live on March 19th, and we will be accepting applications on a rolling basis through June 4th. And if everything goes to plan, if there are no interconnection issues with the local utilities, we are looking to complete all the installations by the second week of February in 2026. In terms of next steps, if this interests you or if you have more questions, you can sign up over here at solarswitch.com/Maryland. But if you have more questions for our help desk, your eligibility, some of the benefits, and the timeline itself, you can also reach out to us or me at mdteam@solarunitedneighbors.org. I handle that inbox along with a couple of associates on the Maryland team, and we usually respond to most questions within 2 to 4 hours. And I'll stop sharing, and I'm happy to take any questions in the chat.
Thank you so much, Sukrit. Really appreciate that, and very detailed. Perfect segue to the grant announcement we'll make in a few minutes, but your campaign will align well with that. And maybe just for the folks who are joining us from the community, this topic is really important to us. We're really proud of Takoma Park's solar track record in the residential space, but we see there's a lot of room for improvement for our businesses to take advantage of this too. So, do pursue some of the resources that he has just mentioned. Thank you. So yeah, we'll open the floor now to folks who have questions for any of our speakers. Please feel free to come off mic, or you can write them in the chat. I could see we had a little bit of a thread going. Kiara, there was a question about digital businesses that got addressed. Is that right?
Correct. I'm looking here and I'm seeing if I answered that question about digital businesses. I believe that I did. Yeah, so I mean, everything right now is all based on storefront. So, if it's something that's online, it's not something that we are currently, providing incentives for. You have to have a brick and mortar establishment.
Right. And I believe you also mentioned that there are home-based incentives, though, for folks that are living in the city and could pursue that as just part of a residential program.
Correct. Yes. So if there's anybody that's interested in learning more about Pepco's residential programs, I can certainly direct you to the right department.
So I can maybe kick off a question for this group, for whoever wants to take it. It's the elephant in the room question. We have a listening ear to the ground, and with the new federal administration that will be taking office in January, a lot of our friends across these sectors are kind of having hair on fire about what will happen with a lot of incentive and grant programs. Now, our understanding from listening to a couple presentations is that it is likely that state and regional incentives will still remain intact for a while. It is unsure. We don't have a crystal ball. We don't know what happens with the IRA money. But I just wanted to ask you if anyone has, anything to say about the incentives that fall under your sort of jurisdiction. Should folks be worried about those disappearing with the new administration?
Hi, this is Dave from Blue Whale EV. We've had a number of discussions about this. We actually don't see this having the change of administration having any direct impact on what we're seeing. If you look at it from building out the interstates in the 50s, this is infrastructure that needs to go out there, for us to make that transition. Do we see, us being completely electric vehicle by 2050? Not likely. I think there's still some challenges on some of the heavier duty vehicles, but I think there's going to be a healthy transition to, probably the next 5 to 10 years. But we don't see necessarily a slowdown in the infrastructure side. Quite frankly, I think it's going to probably pick up a bit.
Fiora or Secrete or Pia, are the incentives that you all work with still something that folks can probably be relying on in the near future?
I can go. This is a tricky question, and I tread with a lot of caution because I did a couple more Solar 101s in Frederick and Columbia a few weeks ago, and this question came up. And just to echo what you said, Dory, I do not have a crystal ball. What I can, however, say based on the data we have on our network and our support is solar has bipartisan support at the ground level. Um, Most of our work across the 12 states that we're active in, most of the business is done in Texas and Florida. And I would say roughly in terms of our composition, it's like 60-40 in terms of 60% of the folks in our network who lean left have gone solar versus 40 who lean more conservative. I do not see that demand abating or going away in the future. If anything, solar is only going to amp up in the future. And based on the data we have seen, it would be counterproductive to curtail or remove any of those incentives around the IRA, around ITCs, the 30% tax credit, or any of that stuff. We are prepared that some of the stuff might be on the chopping block, but based on the data, based on how beneficial it's been across the country at the federal level, we do not think those benefits will be going away overnight if once a new administration comes in. It's not a clear-cut answer, but that's what we're planning for in 2025 and beyond.
Yeah, and for our program, we are not expecting any immediate changes. Like it's partially funded by the county, and the county is very supportive and on board with the Green Business Certification. The discounts we have come through the Green Business Benchmark platform, so they are like not tied to political decisions. And the scholarships we have are from a private donor. So, I mean, none of that has direct impact by the change in administration. That doesn't mean that, maybe our donor 2 years from now may not be giving scholarships, but in the immediate future, there shouldn't be any changes.
Appreciate you all. I know that's not an easy question, but yes, one that's been on people's minds. Any other questions from our folks online with us? Please feel free to come off mic or write in the chat. Okay, I can maybe throw one more out there for you all, which is, what we covered a lot of ground here, and I understand it's pretty dense, and folks might need a few minutes to chew on this, which is very fair. But let's say I'm a smaller mid-sized business owner. Why should I care about this? I mean, maybe I care about climate change, but if you could just summarize in a nutshell, are the programs that you all have just described going to benefit me economically? Like what's at stake for me as a business owner? I know that's also kind of a big question, but if you could sum it up in a nutshell, why should someone participate in one of your programs?
I'll go first again. From an EV infrastructure point of view, it's an amenity that can draw customers in. It can be a direct revenue generator for it. There are financing programs with various organizations allow you to for a capital investment to amortize it over a number of years, and we work with a number of organizations that do that. Allow you to bring some immediate ROI, to the bottom line. The other thing that we do here at Blue Well EV, we've got a number of chargers outside here. We use it as an amenity for the staff. We give them free charging. So it's an incentive for them to come into the office, charge their vehicles, moving away from the remote workforce, so it gives people a reason to come in. We do that for customers that come in, they get free charging, so.
In our case, I would say, I mean, that by working with businesses so far, in a lot of cases, it's just like a business incentive, personal incentive that they've decided they want to commit to more sustainable practices. That would be the starting point. But once you certify, just as the Ride On campaign proves it, we do try to provide a lot of outreach and promotion with the businesses that have certified, and we're actively working to increase that outreach, and businesses can, through their websites, their social media, they can use the logos of the certification and promote their environmental achievements. And that is something that more and more consumers are looking into, actually. They're looking for businesses that have an environmental approach towards their operation.
I guess I can go next. Beyond the environmental benefits and any of those greenhouse gas emissions that you'll be offsetting with these solar systems, from a financial perspective, when it comes to solar, this system is going to be there on your roof for 25 to 30 years. After those initial 5 to 7 years, once this, where you're paying back, you're making money out of that system. And as a small business owner where the bottom line or your operating costs are paramount, why not, utilize this and make your business more financially viable, free up some of those operating costs and spend that money elsewhere instead of on the utility bills. And it's not that every state has benefits around net metering, solar renewable energy credits, or SRECs. As a Maryland business owner, if it's being offered, why not take it? There's no cost to that. So yes, I understand it's a long-term investment, but that's what businesses aim for, right? They want to be there for the long term and be financially viable. Why not add a solar system to supplement that and assist you on your long-term goals? So, just something to consider.
Well said. Kiera, any kind of summary thoughts from you? Why should people care about Pepco's programs?
Great question. So I'm going to actually use a car of mine as an example. I'm going to get a little bit unique at this moment. I used to have this 2008 Honda Accord, and it started out really great, but with everything, there started to become mechanical failure. After about 3 to 4 years, I ran it into the ground because I used it so much and I was really doing true outreach. I was traveling from county to county and all over the place. And after a while, the cost of holding on to that 2008 Honda Accord became so expensive. I was getting an oil change every 2 weeks. And it seemed like there was always some issue, right? And a lot of times when people come to the small business program, they come when they're at the end of the line, when things are failing them and they have just been spending thousands of dollars that they could actually be redistributing to another area of their business. So you should care about this because not only is it going to help you with your bottom line, you can spend money that you may be spending on mechanical failure towards another important area of your business, like marketing, for example. And because it will actually help put you in alignment with the state and the federal regulations that are soon to come. I know BEPS is going to be changing some of their regulations in 2025, and you want to be prepared for that. This is going to apply more so to your medium-sized businesses, but even small businesses can qualify for this. 32,000 square feet, I believe. So, you want to be prepared, you want to be ready, and energy efficiency is just honestly also just a way of leaving less of a footprint on the world. Global warming is something that we've been discussing for a really long time. And the more we use things that are energy efficient, the less of a mark that we're leaving on the world. So that's sort of my 2 cents.
Wonderful. Well said. Love the analogy. I was wondering if you got an EV after too. But
I don't. My boyfriend has one, but I do not have
okay.
one. But yes, they're very, very efficient. Yeah.
Yeah, gotta take advantage of some of the incentives Dave was mentioning. Thank you all. That was great. And yeah, Sukrita, I just wrote down what you said. If it's being offered, why not take it? So that's really what this session was about. And I apologize if I didn't set this context at the beginning, but in Takoma Park, with our own greenhouse gas emission portfolio and with our own net zero climate goals, having our businesses really engaged in these practices is incredibly important. Our two biggest emission sectors are our built environment, which is, a split between residential and commercial, and our transportation sector. So, I think that we have a commitment as a community we are planning to make and achieve, and our businesses play a huge role in that. So, yeah, thank you for wording that so nicely. Are there any other questions for our presenters from our folks on the call with us?
I see one in the chat about potential price increases because of tariffs with the change in administration, and if that would affect any of these programs.
Great, great question. A lot of the products that we're doing that satisfies the grants themselves are Buy America, Build America compliant. So whether that has an impact on the downstream suppliers, I'm not sure yet. We're wondering that ourselves. I don't have a great answer, but yes, it's possible it could have an impact. But a lot of the stuff's like blankets manufactured here in Maryland. So that stuff should be a little bit better. And I believe a lot of the parts and components come out of Korea, so South Korea. So.
Again, another tricky question because it's a lot of speculation for now. We do not know if and how those tariffs will be implemented next year and beyond. But in the solar sphere, 70 to 75% of the solar supply chain is in China. And, there is that possibility that a lot of the panels that are supplied over here from China will see that bump as well. So we do always try to work with installers who are more close to home who incentivize or promote American or Canadian made modules. Having said that, even as much as we want to support that, they are pricier than their counterparts in Asia. So it's a fine balance. And this has happened before. There has been fear mongering around tariffs in the past, and the administration did not follow through. And they didn't follow through because there's a lot of stake for the American manufacturing industry. So I do not have a definitive answer. It could impact some of those prices for some of the panels that are supplied from China or Vietnam or Thailand. But if that's the case, there will be preventative measures from installers as well as our programs. So it's a wait and see. We'll see what happens in January.
Yep, good question. Leslie and Dave, yes, we have recorded this session and we'll definitely be posting it after. So no problems there. I do have a few more slides before we close, but any other questions? Emma, did we catch everybody in the chat?
Yeah, everything in the chat was answered.
Awesome, thank you. All right, so let me just share my screen for one more time here. So as some of our presenters alluded to, we wanted to let you know that this is part one of a part two event series that our office is hosting on this topic, again, because we find it to be really, really important. And it's been a while that we haven't been able to collectively come together around offerings for businesses. That being said, the city is also ponying up some grant funding to help support this. So our new grant cycle, which is tentatively titled Green Homes and Businesses Grant, will open in spring 2025, likely in mid-April. So this grant is going to be a program that will be able to support a whole host of things, everything from having an energy audit done at your business to a full-on electrification project, whether that be some of the upgrades that Kira mentioned. Maybe you're looking at EVs, maybe you're looking at going solar. So a lot of that would fall into what this grant can help support. Weatherization would also be included, and other types of upgrades like lighting and smaller scale things. But we really don't want you to delay, even though this grant is a few months away from opening. I think our presenters just stressed that a few minutes ago. It is not too early to start planning, especially if you're thinking about kind of a major electrification project. And it's really not too early to start getting quotes from contractors who you might want to engage with. Sorry, my lights are on a timer in here. Who you might want to start working with for that project. And in fact, that will be a requirement, is to have some quotes submitted with your grant proposal. We're going to try to make this as easy as possible for folks this year. It'll be in an online format for submission. We're really trying to, cut through any like red tape that we ask for the minimal but necessary information from you and your business. But I really just want to get the word about it. My lovely colleague Joy will be helping steer this process over the next couple of months. And if you have any questions about that, you're welcome to contact us. My contact is on the last slide. But just as a secondary part to this, please save the date. Our presenters, I'll be sending you more information on this as well. But as I mentioned, in early May, we hope to have a business roundtable type event, a breakfast event, in which we would have an in-person version of some of the content you've just given, with a couple other partners from a few topics that we couldn't cover today, one being food waste collection and compost. So more info on that is coming. The tentative date is the first Tuesday in May, which is Tuesday, May 6th. We understand there's a lot of competition this time of year, especially for online events. So for those of you that carved out time today to join us, really, really appreciate you. And hopefully, we can grab coffee with you in person in the spring, and we'll look forward to hearing more about your plans for how you want your business to transition to more sustainable practices. And with that, I would say, okay. One last thing, which is for folks on the call, if you're not already, please do subscribe to our office's e-newsletter. That is where we put out a lot of important information about programs, including grants, including events, and that's kind of one of our main communication channels. So if you're not receiving that already, that is the link and that's the QR code. These slides will be available to you after as well. All right, and with that, that's my contact information. Very happy to answer your questions about this, and also our partners have included their contact information in the slides as well. Just want to thank everybody so much for your time today. Really, really appreciate your good questions and good feedback. Okay, I see we have a couple other questions here. Hold on. Emma, can you help me recap? Sorry, I missed a few.
Yeah, so for the grant, wondering if there's gonna be a look back period, so any recent relevant work done before the grant is released.
Oh, okay. So Laura, do you mean like you've already done some project work and you're hoping to have the rest of it funded through the grant? Is that what you mean? Well, I'll wait to see if she can clarify with that. And then Kiara, you had a question.
Yeah, I can,
Oh,
sorry.
Go ahead. Yeah.
It's basically, I just know that we've got businesses that are working on projects and potentially, if they've done a big electrical installation that would meet the grant terms, but what if they've done it in February? Do you have any look back so that, within the last 90 days prior to the release of the grant, we can cover those expenses, because maybe they invested something, but they needed to do it with that timing versus waiting for the city's grant release.
It's a really good question. I'll have to run it by our director here. Our policy in the past has been not to retroactively fund projects. And I understand everything you're saying about how sometimes the timing doesn't line up with the grant cycle. Let me speak internally about that and I'll get back to you with a response.
Thank you.
And Kiara, sorry, you had a question, which is, are business owners getting your contact information? Yes. If you have it on your
Okay.
slides, they'll make sure that they can reach out to you all.
I was just thinking, I think it's going to be on the slides. Maybe that was a dumb question, but I just wanted to make sure.
We'll send a recap email and it will also be posted on the city's website. Yeah. All right. Well, if there are no other questions, I think we could give everybody about 15 minutes of your time back during this busy season. Thank you so much for your engagement with today's session. Really appreciate you all. Thank you to our presenters. Great information, and I know it's a lot to chew on, but we look forward to having you back with us again in the spring and kind of engaging with some more folks on these topics. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Doris, for having me.
Our pleasure. Wishing everybody happy and safe holidays, and we'll be in touch soon. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank
Bye.
you,
Thank
Dory.
you. Thanks. Bye-bye.